Hey loves, so welcome back to Mrs. Bam, It's My Life. So this video today is been coming for a while. I know I've discussed it on the channel a few times, and I I don't really know how to do this video or what I want to say. So if it's all over the place, then please forgive me. So I know that recently I have been talking to you guys about me coming to terms with the fact um, that I am on the autism spectrum. Um, and from right now, it it's been difficult to deal with, but it explains a lot of the things that I've gone through in my life and how I feel, and some of the behaviors I have, and how I interact with people, and why I have such a hard time um, just dealing with people in general. How I display my emotions, um, just in how I deal with people in general, and how I feel about myself. So I I'm not gonna say that I've been struggling with it as much as most people would when they find out at an older age. Um, but it has not it has not been easy because you know you want to fit in, you want to be normal, you you don't want to have all of these different tics or inappropriate moments, and you just want to be normal. And all my life I have never felt normal. I never felt like I fit in. I've always had problems in social environments. I'm extremely sensitive. Some people think that I'm rude, or I'm too harsh. I don't really do black and white. Um, and I've had a lot of the symptoms for years, with the depression. Um, I've been diagnosed with PTSD, ADHD, just a number of diagnoses over the years, and I never really seemed to fit into those. And I've been going to therapists and psychologists, and nobody ever took the time to say, hey, maybe we need to test you to see if you're on the autism spectrum. And it's just like it just completely got overlooked. And I feel like a lot of times, Black people in general, we don't get the type of mental health help that we need, and we are get a lot of us get underdiagnosed with autism and depression and all a host of other disabilities, especially when they're not physical. Um, so for the first time in my life, I got a Black therapist, which was really hard, and we just sat down and talked about some things. And she asked me a lot of questions that I was not able to answer, that I've never had a therapist really sit down and ask me. Um, one of the biggest problems I've always felt is like to the world, I know who I am. I'm rich. I'm very proud. I have this certain look. Um, I'm I'm confident, but inside I'm none of those things. And that's really hard to deal with because I have this image of what people see, but it really doesn't fit who I am inside. Um, and that is something I really struggle with. The look that you guys see as BAM is basically a cloak. Um, And that's how I've been able to get through life, to not have to talk as much, or to kind of not have to worry about what I'm saying or what I'm doing. I learned that it was just easier for me to kind of like pass. Um, if I looked really pretty, if I dressed really nice, if my makeup was done, if my hair was done a certain way, if I just kept conversations very short and brief, if I, knew current topics, it was a lot easier um, for me to kind of get through. And it worked for a very long time, but it gets exhausting because you really don't know who you are. I myself tend to learn to take on trends or traits of other people. So I really don't know who I am as a person, because that's what happens when you have Asperger's syndrome. You tend to mimic other people. And really, BAM is uh, um, what my perfect person would be. Um, and I can't be her. I can't be Bam. Bam is it's hard to explain it. But I've been suffering in silence for years. Um, with tics. I bite my lips. I even bite the inside of my jaws. I twist and pull my hair out in the back. I've had hair loss on the side, so that's why you guys always kind of like see me in extensions and stuff. Because if my hair is not up in extensions or braids, I tend to like pull at it. Um, I do have some compulsive behaviors, a lot. I'm very sensitive. That's the reason why you guys don't see me in the comments a lot, because I can't handle it. Even with dealing with my day-to-day life, like I'm super, super sensitive. Um, and it leaves me in a lot of situations to where I'm not really sure myself. I have a lot of self-doubt because I have a lot of self-doubt because I really don't know who I am. And I'm always wondering, like, if I did it right. I get really stuck in my own head. A lot of times, the way I want things to come out, they don't come out of my mouth, or I just can't do it. I can't say it. Um, so that is something I've really, really struggled with. And then I have anger outbursts, which was probably why they diagnosed me with PTSD, because sometimes I can't verbalize or really say like how I feel in the moment, or it takes me days to process stuff. Um, so when things keep happening to me and I don't understand, I'm just not processing them right. Eventually, I just kind of like shut down, and then I kind of explode. So I do have moments where when I'm having anxiety, or I'm having like a disagreement, or just things are not going right, I can go into my room, into a dark room, and go to sleep for days. It's kind of like I have to separate myself from people. It gets really hard because you lose a lot of time. I lose a lot of time trying to stay away from the outside world because it's so exhausting trying to deal with people. Like, a lot of people will always say, "Oh my God, you're always smiling. You're always so happy." And they don't realize, like, it's masking, it's hiding. Like, I just want to appear normal. I want to feel normal, but I'm not. And I've always known it for years that something is not quite right with myself. Um, and there are probably a lot of signs that just went overlooked. I was delayed as a child, severely delayed. I started talking early, and then I didn't talk for a little bit. And then when I did start talking again, I would not shut up. That's one of the signs of Asperger's syndrome. I was delayed with school. It's like I couldn't read, I couldn't spell, um, I couldn't do math. I just couldn't do basic stuff that other children could do, and that left me in LD, or learning disability classes, up until I was in the 8th grade. It's like one morning I woke up and like my brain turned on, and I was I was able to function like my peers, and I was on pace with everybody. But for a long time, I really struggled. Um, I never really had a lot of friends. I can count on one hand how many friends I had growing up. Um, and I think a lot of times people were my friends because they just felt bad for me. And then I had a really bad friendship where I kind of feel like she knew that I was different and something was quite not right with me. And she took advantage of me in that friendship. And it was really hard to get out of it. Um, Decision making has never been like best for me. I've always had horrible decision making skills. It's gotten me into a lot of trouble, into a lot of bad situations, because I just don't understand, like, when stuff is going on or happening to me. Like, I just don't understand. And it's left me in a lot of situations to where I've been um, physically abused as an adult, emotionally, as you know, and sexually abused several times, because I could not I didn't get the social cues, like how other people are aware of like danger or something. Like, I just kind of like took people. I can't read between the lines in certain situations. So it it put me in a lot of bad situations, a lot of bad situations. Um, so I've been dealing with the for like the last month. I've been trying to deal with, like, at the possibility of being diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. But after talking with my therapist about it, and just her going over the criteria and the different things, we did decide to go ahead and go forward with testing. But it's just I'm off the charts from what I've been reading with a lot of my behaviors. So when you guys see me like singing and dancing with all like the hand movements, um, and it's funny and it's lively, it's autism. Um, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel better knowing that what is wrong with me, because you just get tired. I told myself I want to cry. You just get tired of just not feeling like you fit into the world. And then you have to deal with the fact, like, are people gonna like have a different perception of me? Are people gonna treat me different? I've already dealt with a lot of people in my life treating me different, and basically what I thought I was hiding, they could see. Um, I did have one of my siblings tell me one time she thought I had Asperger's, and I was so mad at her. Because y'all know I've talked about my older nephew. He does have autism, so I was so upset with her, but she was right. Um, and I just have to learn how to live with it. I will say that since all of this has been going on, the amount of anxiety I feel has gotten a lot better. Um, I have been spending my time doing a lot of things that kind of like soothe me. Um, I like being outside in my garden. I love cooking. I just recently got into sewing, and I really love working with my hands and all of my senses. So I'm just trying to like redirect my energy into positive things because it is scary because you kind of don't know, like, okay, so what happens after you get diagnosed? Um, I have no doubt in my mind that I have autism, that I'm on the spectrum. Um, but I feel a sense of relief because now I can get the help that I need. Um, because it's really hard. Like, I never had a problem finding a job when I worked as a chef because you just go by resume and what you do in the kitchen. It's not like a regular type of interview. And most of the jobs, I knew people when I was going in. I really struggled to find work over the last 6 years, 7 years, I'll say. So it's been really hard because I don't do well with interviews. So that's a lot of the reasons why you see me working for myself. And it's just been really it's been really hard because I feel like a lot of people around me knew that like I had these weird quirks. They had no name for it. And I think back, like when I was in high school, autism was not really a big thing with Black kids. It was usually like white children or uh, white males. Every now and then you see a Black kid who had autism, but it was like something that people can see. People didn't know a lot about Asperger's syndrome. So it wasn't that people, that people just didn't care. It was just something that just wasn't really a thing. The case studies for autism was, it was male and it was white. And you have a lot of women, Black, white, Hispanic, and Asian, who often get overlooked and they don't get diagnosed with autism until they're in their late 40s, 30s. You know, and it can wreak havoc. It can wreak havoc on your life because it's always been hard for me to keep a not get fired, but just kind of like to stay in one space. I don't like change unless I know I have control. So, you know, just never being able to like stay on a job long term, having difficulties in relationships. It's been rough. So that's what has been going on. Um and I'm just trying to like live with it and to try my best to understand it. So yeah, I should be getting tested by the end of May, early June, depending on how everything gets going. Am I relieved I have a potential diagnosis? Yes. Does my therapist and I, after sitting down and talking about it and going over it, do we think that's what it is? Is it a very high possibility? Yes. A lot of the times they say it's hard for women to be diagnosed with autism because sometimes um, women, they kind of can hide it or disguise different things that they do. So I'm gonna try to go in when I go in, to do my assessment and everything, to just be as open as possible and not try to mask anything. And I think that's going to be the hardest thing to do. But I'm not saying that I want to be autistic because that's not what I want. I don't really know what I want. But I have to learn to live with it and how to kind of like cope. I guess that's the word. And kind of like let it define me. So yeah, that's what it is. And there's nothing I can do about it. So I guess that's it.